Hey, grace and peace. Welcome to Find the Intersection. My name is Paul Dezay, and today we are talking about Isaiah 62, 1 to 5. Isaiah 62, 1 to 5. If you haven't read the passage, I encourage you to pause the video, go read it in a couple translations, and then come back and let's talk about it. All right, I'll see you in a second. All right, welcome back. Isaiah 62, 1 to 5. Context. Prophet Isaiah this is a bit of poetry about Israel coming home from captivity, from exile. They were in Babylon, now they're coming home, and they find their entire way of life destroyed, their city destroyed, the temple destroyed, and they're dealing with the disgrace of their nation, of their people. They are no longer reflecting God's strength and power. They are defeated and disgraced and in shame. So that's the context. So the first thing that jumped out to me is in the very first verse, it says, this is Isaiah speaking, "For Zion's sake, I will not keep silent, and for Jerusalem's sake, I will not rest." In other words, he's a prophet, and he's going to speak out. He's going to speak out truth. He won't be quiet about it. He's very passionate about his people. He's very passionate about his city. And so he's going to speak out as prophets do, and finds themselves in trouble quite often. I just finished a book yesterday called Raise Your Voice by Kathy Kang. She's Korean American, and she shares her story of being silenced in her culture and in the culture she grew up in, and how she learned to stand up and speak out. And it's a fantastic book. And I encourage you to check it out. But it goes right along with Isaiah won't keeping silent. He won't keep silent. The second thing that stood out to me was the new name that God gave Israel. Their name before was Forsaken, and that went along with the exile. And the new name is My Delight is in Her. In other words, God delights in Israel. And that new name means a new identity. And so once they were forsaken, now they are God's delight. And now they can trust in that. It reminds me of the passage last week of the baptism of Jesus, when Jesus heard that he is God's beloved Son in whom he's well pleased. And so that identity is incredibly important for Israel in this post-exile time frame. So they got a new name and they got a new identity. Things are looking up for Israel. And the third theme that's within this passage is marriage and the wedding. In fact, marriage is a theme all the way through the Old Testament. It moves into the New Testament as well. And it speaks to God being the bridegroom and Israel being the bride in whom God delights. And they form a wedding covenant, so to speak. And so this theme is there's a new part of their marriage, or they get remarried after being divorced during the exile, those kind of themes that runs through this. And then, we can personalize that because the church is referred to as the bride of Christ. Very powerful stuff. So some application points for me today is where do I need to raise my voice? Where is it that I won't be silent? When I see injustice, I will speak out against it. And the other thing that I've been thinking about is, what is God's name for me? What is God's name for me? And speaking something about God delighting over me, or I am God's beloved Son. Those things are very powerful. Holding on to that identity that we are God's children is incredibly important. So those are things I'm thinking about. So tomorrow we'll come back and talk about the Psalm. But what I'd like you to do is to share in the comments what stood out to you, what God has brought to your mind from this passage in Isaiah 62. Feel free to do a Facebook Live within the group. Facebook Live, share your thoughts, get your friends involved. Let's broadcast this Bible reading plan to many people as we can come in contact with. Because if you're like me, my life is being changed as I study God's Word. And I really would love to share that with as many people as possible. I'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Grace and peace.